Taneytown Community Comprehensive Plan Workshop of the Taneytown Planning Commission. Would please come to order. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. It looks like everyone is here, present. Would you please stand for the pledge of the flag, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone received the draft minutes of last month, July 23rd. Is there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Appreciate the size of the fonts. Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion, no comment.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the July 23rd minutes as read.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and further discussion, all those in favor of accepting the draft minutes of 2023, signify by saying aye.
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 Got you, Bill. Carried, thank you. Darryl, you want to start us off here before we go to Emily or Craig?
Sure, so I got some information back from some of you about some of the changes you'd like to see, the questions, additions, that type of thing. So thank you. I passed them on to Emily, and you see from your packet, she made some changes, plus some of the things that she had added, or that they had added from our conversation last month. So outside of that, Emily, I think it's up to you.
Okay, great. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes.
Dan?
All right, let me pull this over. Okay.
Yes, that is all set up for you, Emily.
Okay, great. So can everybody see this okay?
No.
Not really.
No?
No.
That's okay. We can tell what page you're on and we can look at our papers, so we're good.
Okay, I can zoom in as well, but if that needs it.
Much better.
Okay, great.
There we go. Good.
So like Darryl was saying, of course, I made some of those changes. The logo at the top, a bit of a formatting change with this description here. I did want to call your attention to the last sentence that I added. More information about what a comprehensive plan is and why we're updating it can be found on the Taneytown website. I am pretty sure there's nothing on there right now about this comprehensive plan update, but I think it would be a great thing to add. It seemed like there was something about the previous one, so it seems like there's some precedent for that, I believe, on the website.
Yeah, ma'am, just a comment if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I think it's great that we put something on the webpage and we direct them there. But I think it would be something we should consider is to having 2-3 sentences on there that kind of describes the importance of the comprehensive plan. I think most people in town don't even know what that plan is.
Yeah,
but I think there should be 1 or 2 sentences that say why this is important. This is the guidebook and on which future planning decisions will be based, or some type of sentence or two. Because I'm envisioning that people will see this, on a table out at the park somewhere, and they're not gonna necessarily go to their website before they fill out the form. If we let them take the form and go home, chances are they're gonna forget to fill it out. So you want them to fill it out right there. So you kind of want to give them some reason, why it's important for them to take the, whatever, 20 minutes to fill it out.
Sure. Yeah, we can definitely change that up.
Should we have on there the website address?
Yeah, we can definitely add that as well. Is it? Oh, I can double check on that. It's just Taneytown or City of Taneytown.
TaneytownMD.gov. Right? Is that it? I think also on the front page of the website, since this is kind of a big thing, is maybe this ought to be something we banner in some manner on the front page. I'm not sure where that gets directed. but Mr. City Manager over there will get it to the right people. Also, with the Taneytown Connect app, I don't know if there's any way that something can be bannered on the front face of the app, but that would be a good idea also, and a direct link in that banner.
Okay, great. Okay, of course, some of those changes were made, most notably, I think, adding in where there's the option to add more than one answer that has been specified. We did add this second question here. If you live and work in Taneytown, where are you living or working? I think it's something that maybe should be split up into two questions. There's if you live here, where do you live? And if you work here, where do you work? Because otherwise, I think you really can only select one option.
I got you.
Also,
Yeah, I think we might even want to maybe include maybe a map of
sure.
town in there with maybe some numbered areas. Maybe that might be a little more helpful.
Right, because there's downtown, there's kind of the old town section of the south end of Baltimore Street, and then there's all the new development to the northwest side, to the north side.
Yeah. So I think that would be helpful. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll work with Daryl to find out, basically delineate what those areas should be and how many there should be. Okay.
I also did double check the online version of this. The format might be slightly different. We're a bit limited with what SurveyMonkey will let us do in terms of the format, but we can add, images like the logo to the beginning. We can add images to some parts of questions as well. So that's something that could be kept for the online version of the survey.
Are we still going to go in that, have that available online? I'm asking.
I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
From the agenda.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So otherwise, these questions are much the same as they were before. See, we did remove on this question, which was previously 10, now 11 because of the added question. There was a second or a fourth column that basically was, no opinion. That was removed to kind of simplify this question. If this format still seems like it might be a little too confusing, I'll work with our SurveyMonkey, our coordinator who does that. Maybe she has some ideas for a better format if we think that this is a little bit too much still. This section here was added, create/enforce minimal housing standards for rental properties. We also simplified question 13, had a second portion to it, and that was simplified as well. Now it's just asking whether the survey taker believes that these services are adequate or inadequate. And then question 18 was altered. Instead of saying what area in the region do you find most problematic, et cetera, to what roads or intersections do you find the most problematic, et cetera, just for a little bit more clarity and more of a direct question. And otherwise, I believe that is the last change that was made.
So I'm pretty good with I think the questions.
Okay.
I guess I don't know what I don't know, so I don't know which question I want to add right now.
Okay.
But I did have I guess I do have a question on question 8. So we have check the box for open space preservation, and we also have one for natural resources protection and restoration. So can somebody help me? What's the difference between those two? And so if somebody checks one, what does that mean to us or the other? Or do we just eliminate them, or we eliminate one of them, I guess?
Sure. Yeah, we can certainly either eliminate or combine. Open space is not necessarily a protection of natural resources, but it can be. So I think it could be confusing to especially to people who don't know that this terminology, someone who lives in Taneytown who doesn't really know a lot of this, it might seem redundant or confusing. So yeah, we certainly can consolidate those two.
Well, I mean, the question came up to me. I'm not sure.
Sure, yeah.
Open space preservation means I want to keep vacant sites. So
Mhm.
I'll check that one and not reuse of vacant sites because I want to keep it vacant.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever you
that,
guys
that,
think.
I mean, that is kind of it, right? Because like, as Emily said, not all open space is our natural resource, they're two different, I guess,
Right,
objectives.
so in other
So-
words, open space would have a park and would have grass that we mow, but it's not necessarily, the preservation is more like our park the new park out on Fringer Road.
Yeah, yeah. So a new park would be more of the park and recreation opportunities, where open space is just more areas that are maybe left in their natural state. And natural resource protection are really things like wetlands and floodplains and steep slopes and things of that nature. So, a few different.
Like an engineering kind of change, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a fine
Right, so
line in that.
I'm wondering if maybe open space preservation and put in parentheses, public park, or if that's what it means, or.
When I looked at that, open space, I was thinking about the space that's in the development. The little grassy areas, that's what I was in for open space.
Yeah.
And when it went to natural resource and protection, I was thinking Balliner Park there
Right.
along.
Right.
So that's how I
Creek, right.
distinguish between the two.
Yeah, so, and that's fine. I mean, if we decide to leave it that way, I mean, we don't really have any, is there anything on there that says we want more let's see, park or anything. So when I read the open, I mean, I said I was confused. I really wasn't confused. I know what I meant, or what it meant to me, but I wasn't sure that everybody was gonna think the same thing. But for me, the open space preservation would be like Memorial Park, we're keeping it open, and it's or the area in between the developments, where you just have grass to mow. So that's really a park in my mind, so. But if anyone else is good with it,
Yeah, I mean, some of that might go to, like, there are different development patterns that you can encourage, on your areas that will be developed. And do you want to encourage more of a cookie cutter, that every lot, all the area is taken up by individual properties? Or do you want to have smaller lots with some open space or some green areas in between the properties? So that's kind of what that's geared towards.
It's kind of the foundation of the community village is preservation of some open space by rearranging the densities.
And
Yeah.
I was thinking about the walkways too.
Yes.
With the
Yeah.
open space.
Yes, because right.
Because that's the way I separated the two.
I think of it as undeveloped space.
Mm.
did you have a comment, Darrell? I thought you were.
Well, Jim was nailing it right on the head. So if you just think about it like Meads Crossing, you have all the open space that's required, in most development. So you have that anyway, and we'll be taking care of that, or whoever takes our place 30 years from now, unless Jim does retire. But when I saw this the first time, it's tough to nail down for me. This took a while. The three, which of the following would you believe be the most important to a high quality of life? That's tough. I mean, that's going to be there for a lot of people. So for forestation to meet most people's criteria, unfortunately, that may not be, getting past employment and recreational and housing and all that. So, but three makes it tough, doesn't it?
Yeah, I didn't try to pick three yet.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, would it be beneficial to up the number to 5 to get a bit more of an understanding of
Yes,
maybe
Just because there are so many options there to choose,
Sure.
to try to narrow that down to 3 might
Yeah.
be a little too tight.
Okay, sure.
Good idea, Emily. 5.
But on the other side, what it does do is it more magnifies the compassion that people would feel about these points. I mean, 'cause
It does do that.
Sure.
This one took me a long time.
Mm.
I sort of just wanted to think about other people, like, what's my son think? So when I was doing these forms, I was thinking about myself who's, well, I wouldn't say got it together, but have done things in life, and someone who's starting out.
Right.
So, but anyway, okay.
So,
We're changing that to 5, is that what we're saying?
That's,
Is that,
that up to you guys.
I think Bill was gonna,
Bill?
I just wanted to bring back to what Dan was saying. Are we gonna look at maybe putting something in parentheses next to those? Open space and natural resource, just as an example, or not?
Sure. Yeah, we definitely can do that. Make it a little bit clearer.
I mean, I'm just trying to,
Understand.
Dan brought it up. I thought it was a good
Sure.
idea.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Open
again,
space
so-
preservation as opposed to natural resources preservation.
Right.
And then we could change it to 5?
Yes.
Change to 5. Okay, great.
I think I'm okay with 5.
Are you okay with 5? Yeah, I think 3 might be a little too
Yeah.
restrictive here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good choices,
it
a lot of,
As long as you don't have to put them in order.
no. Yeah, right. You don't have to rank them,
We're not-
just
Don't
select.
don't have to prioritize them.
No.
Well,
That would get a little tough.
5, okay.
while we're on number 8, if somebody checks taxes, what is that telling you guys? What is that telling us?
Yeah, that's, thank you, because I was just thinking the same
Good
thing,
point.
rather ambiguous,
Mm.
question.
So I guess if somebody checked it, I would expect they were saying low taxes would be good,
Mhm.
but that was,
It's a little open-ended, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Of course, everybody will answer that. Low taxes, yes.
I don't know.
I'm
okay.
almost for pulling that,
Yeah, second.
For removing it?
Yeah.
for removing taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
As we all know, that's not something you can really do anything about anyway, so.
No, exactly.
Dan, you didn't have a question or concern with emergency service? You got to, I mean, the police department is handled by the city. The fire department is completely different.
Okay.
Well, that's a good point there. I mean, and you got open space now,
I would like to see that separated.
police separated from fire.
'Cause
Okay.
Will do.
Maybe label or have police and then fire/EMS, emergency
that would
services.
be good, yes.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
lump those two together.
Yeah, fire and EMS.
All right. Great. Any other parts of this question or any of the other questions that we want to take a look at?
Just in going back to the front page, where you talked about whether you're a business owner or a resident.
Mhm.
Question 3 then is, how long have you lived in Taneytown
Mm.
and become lived or had a business?
Yes, yeah, I agree. And would we want that separated out into 2 questions as well, or?
Well, if you answer question 1 that you are a business owner, then that makes your answer to question 3, how long have you had a business in town? If you answer resident, then how long have you been,
Sure.
it should be self-separating.
Okay.
I don't know, not knowing the inner workings of SurveyMonkey, I don't know if that will separate that data in that way. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it wouldn't unless it were two separate questions. I will double check with our marketing coordinator. She might have a better idea. She knows how SurveyMonkey works really well, so she might have a better
Yeah.
idea for
So
how to
whether there
structure things.
would need to be a 3A and a 3B, you know what I
Sure.
mean?
Well, also, Councilman, so you may have lived here 10 years, then started the business.
That's what I'm thinking too. I mean,
So that. it
Right,
may-
so again, yeah, would it be parallel tracks then also, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so, right, if somebody checked business, resident and checked business,
Hmm.
then they would answer 3A and 3B,
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we definitely can take a look at that.
Okay.
So I got a question for the team here. So on number 10, so we're checking reasons for why you might leave Taneytown. So we just have deterioration of the community. So what does that mean? If I check deterioration of community, is there something that what are we gonna do to try to make that not happen? I don't,
I think that's a good question to have,
but,
because
or like, if
How
you
you
check
define
that,
that?
what is deterioration? I mean, does that mean it gets too crowded, or does that mean I have, everybody leaves and I got empty houses beside me, or?
it could mean crime, it could mean traffic, it could mean a number of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
It's, I'm trying to find my note on my first set.
I kind of like, actually, I kind of like that
perception of the city.
as a catch-all kind of.
As long as you have the description, what that means?
Um,
I mean, I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know what, if you check deterioration of the community and gave it
Right.
to me, I'm not sure I know what you mean.
good point, yeah.
Well, I kind of look at it as like, what's the perception of the city? I mean, years ago, we did something, the city, to get a grant. And I think that was, what was it, high crime or crime?
Spots.
What was it?
Hot spots.
Okay, yeah. And that's something that would turn me away right there.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good question to have in here. I mean, your idea of, it could be different
Yeah.
from mine, but that's what we need to get, everyone's
Yeah,
opinion.
but if we don't write down what my idea is, you have no idea.
Well, there was a
I think
spot
it-
on the other, on the original to write down.
Right. So
I got what you're saying. Well,
oh, there was a spot on the original to write that down?
It is back here, 21.
was it 21?
Additional comments?
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, number 21 was additional comments, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, so, like, if you had deterioration community and you had a blank line beside it with a note that said explain, at least I could put deterioration community. What do I mean by that? My neighbor doesn't paint his house, I mean. Or my neighbor's dogs, or my chickens, my neighbor's chickens smell too much, I mean.
Or maybe underneath number 10, maybe have a couple lines that, any other comments?
Sure, yeah.
I mean,
That would, I think that would suffice.
yeah, 'cause I do like, I see what you're saying, because you'll see on Facebook, I left town because of that, or that's why I left Taneytown,
Right. But and if they just, if they just check that, we don't know what to
Sure.
change to help that. We have no idea. So,
That's a good point. Okay,
Sure. Yeah. So adding a separate line at the bottom that's either additional comments or clarification or something of that nature.
we're talking about number 10.
Yeah.
Of number
yeah,
10,
in
right.
that-
Number 10, right.
I like additional comments.
I mean, I think we might want to keep it right underneath that box, though, right underneath that question, so we know it's related to that.
Got it. So not underneath other, but
Not at-
underneath
Right, not at
deterioration.
other, but right directly underneath that
Yeah.
deterioration of community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Along those lines of something that seems to be a little vague is disagreement with city values. City government values, do you disagree with the mayor? Do you disagree with the city council? Do you disagree with the planning commission? Whose values are you disagreeing with?
So I think the same concept would go for that one then, in terms of providing a line
Yeah.
under that for some
Okay.
additional detail.
Okay, great.
Is that it for you, Chris? Dan?
yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Barry, you have anything? No. Bill, you have anything to add?
No, I'm good. Okay.
Let's move on to the next one.
All right. Let me zoom in on this one a little bit. I did change the name of this from key person survey to key person interview, just for a little bit of extra clarification. I realize it might be a little confusing to have community survey and key person survey as two separate documents, but Overall, this had the same changes, the description at the beginning, the logo being moved, but otherwise, the questions were about the same. I don't remember offhand if there were any that were the same questions that we just talked about, adding those changes to, that we would do here as well.
If you
I
can,
guess
hold
here
on
this
just a
one.
second.
Sure.
Here,
So, Jen, excuse me. So have we agreed to the changes that were, that we've asked for tonight to be, do we think that's gonna look like our final draft?
I thought we went through each question. We
Yeah,
all agree. Yeah,
I think so. I think, maybe Emily send that out, one, with the corrections as
With the
noted,
corrections.
for us to look at before, and we can always just email back, yeah, we're good with this.
Okay,
We can
great.
handle that by email in a fairly short period of time.
Okay, all right.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, if we can get this back, then on a regular meeting, we can make a decision on it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
If we can get it back in time.
I mean, that's kind of the whole
Monday
point of
night,
sending
and
this
that-
up the way it was, that we,
We talk about it tonight, and then a regular planning commission meeting.
Sure.
that would be great if we can get that done.
Okay,
So we're
Yeah.
getting that in new business.
in new business.
So Emily, does that sound like a, reasonable ask?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'll have it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
Pressure is
Echoes.
on. The
Okay,
pressure is
good.
on.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and just while we're on that subject, we messed up the meeting date for tonight. We thought it was actually next week. So we apologize for that because our intent was to get things out to you more in advance. So we'll do better next time. So
Fair enough.
all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, what, to the key person interview, or what?
Yeah, so, I'm still having a hard time accepting the two different surveys. I don't know if the questions were identical, but they certainly looked very similar. And I guess I think one option would be on the regular plan, you're gonna check, like if it's a key person, I'm assuming the key person is, I'm gonna take it to the chief of police and hand it to him and say, please fill this out.
I kind of like the idea of this being an interview, that this is conducted by by one of us or Daryl, or maybe somebody from, on the Arrow side, but actually conducts an interview and uses this as a guide to conduct an interview. And
That's
get a little
the
bit more
intent, yeah.
Face-to-face feedback. Craig,
Yeah.
was that kind of the plan with this?
That's exactly the plan, right? Yeah, this is
Okay.
just kind of the framework to give to them so they kind of are prepped for it a little bit. But it's a one-on-one discussion with people that you identify as.
Yeah, this isn't a pick it up off the table survey. This is a
Cool.
sit down with somebody and go through these questions kind of thing.
That's correct. Yeah. Yep.
And
So
how
it's a
many,
little more in-depth interview. Yeah.
how many will there be? Any
So
idea?
we had identified, I think, 10 to 15 people or that's what we planned for. And then the city would identify who those people are, who we should be talking to.
So will we be going through this and blessing it? And then we can nail down our 10 or whatever key
Yes, that's
people?
fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Same as we did the first one. Okay. And we'll just go right down the list.
Yeah, So,
I think-
I guess I still don't understand why we have two separate ones. But I just noticed, I think on number 4 of the interview, we asked what educational, entertainment, and cultural opportunities do you value most? And I don't think we asked that
No.
Did not.
on the other people.
Right.
I guess I'm just having a hard time understanding what, I got it, we're gonna do an interview, and we can take extra notes, but I don't understand why the questions would be different. In my opinion.
Emily or Craig, could you answer?
So go ahead.
So I put in, from the Carroll County, they have a project stakeholder identification sheet. And it's normally your economic development, your planning director, your chief of police. They do, I think, county commissioner or planning zoning commission, other agencies, parks and recs. maybe the mayor and city council, some business owners, maybe some of the larger business owners I'm here in town, who have, all 75 or 100 employees or over, get some of their take, because a lot of those large organizations, they do training where they ask their employees things like, how hard is it for you to find affordable housing? Would you be willing to work a different shift if you were closer, or whatever? Sometimes those things come out in some of the larger HRs that are employed here in the city. So, Jim, I don't know, do you have anything else on that? I didn't discuss this with Tiffany at all, but I think that it's, we're not, I don't think we need to be looking for 30, but like Craig was saying, maybe 10, maybe a little bit more, whatever you guys think.
This is a sample you stole from the county. I was wondering what this
Yeah.
was. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna explain it tonight.
Okay.
We asked Tiffany to
But
share
yeah, I
this
like the
at
idea
last meeting.
of identifying lead stakeholders and then see how many of them we can actually get to and get answers from.
We just thought it would be helpful to, since the county is going through the same process with the countywide comprehensive plan, we thought it could be helpful to see, what their group was looking at as far as these, stakeholders or key individual interviews. So, not that we need to replicate it, but it has some good, I think, some good ideas as
Good
far as
ideas
like
and
the
thoughts to start.
categories to consider.
Yeah, and that's fine. And like we started off, this is kind of more just the guide and just to kind of prep those individuals for what kind of topics we're going to be discussing. So that's why the questions aren't exactly the same. And that question 4, for example, it's likely that the people we're going to be talking to are maybe more tied into those aspects of town. So that's why we just had that in there to kind of prompt that particular discussion.
Comments?
I think number 4 is a valid question to ask everybody.
Yeah, we can add it into the overall, sure.
Yeah, you could really just paste that on as a question 22.
Sure.
Yeah, so hopefully, a lot of times with surveys, people kind of skip over the ones where you actually got to write something down, but hopefully we'll get some responses there.
Question 7, should that be a pick 3 from the list?
Yes, it definitely can be. It's possible that I just forgot to add the pick 3 to there.
We okay on that, all of us?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
Number 7, pick 3.
Pick 3.
Eric? Bill?
Yes.
Thank you.
I still don't understand 2 different surveys.
I understand what you're saying, but let's keep moving forward.
Yes, sir.
I just have concerns too, questions, but I don't know.
This is the time to bring them out.
I still don't know who we're gonna pick or choose, or how are we gonna designate these key important people that they should be representing, say, their business, or their residents here in town, or what?
So
I mean-
typically it would be, is there somebody in the Chamber of Commerce, for example, that's not on a board or a commission, or they could be even in the city, but somebody that's influential in the city, maybe the head of the local, the sports leagues, somebody that's involved with the emergency services aspect of the city. So anybody that it could be key department heads in the city as well. And talking to those people that aren't necessarily part of the group here. So it's really anyone that it could be somebody on council as well. So it's just those people that this group identifies as people that we specifically would like to have their input on how they see the future of the city going.
So all our organizations, and we should find one person in each organization, at least.
Yeah.
One from the fire company, one from the Lions Club.
One from, yeah, one person from the VAPO, flow server, somebody like that, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, someone from, if you want to, we could even start making that, making that list, right? So, Evapco,
Right.
FlowServe,
Mary, what's that other place called?
Curaleaf.
Yeah, I'll go there.
Right, fire department. Well,
And maybe-
unless you want to represent their views, I mean, you are,
I'd rather get somebody else.
you want somebody
We're gonna
other,
fill- We'll fill one out anyway, so I think we should get one from somebody else.
I think we do it at the next executive board meeting
yeah,
in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Councilman,
13, we got 12 people there, 12 people, get opinion on. And same way,
spend the time, hash it out.
yep. And we're talking about the bowling alley, we're
Yeah, the
talking
police chief,
about some of the restaurants.
department heads. Like chamber.
Dorter Richard, Mott.
Yeah.
The historic commission, is there somebody there that
History Museum.
Yeah.
So is the intention that the key people are definitely interviews or maybe not?
And maybe I think it sort of increases the amount of information we're gonna harvest then from the survey. Because when you think about the surveys, they may not answer all the questions.
Right.
Craig was very optimistic when he put out the number of how many people we think we're gonna get. I think it'd be amazing if it's much like, the percentage of people who vote. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be amazed if we get, well, I don't want to say a number, but I hope I'm wrong, and I hope people really, I think the better we do by getting out what this document does and what it can mean down the road, I think it'll get more people to be thinking about it, what they're filling out.
At the senior center.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be a great place
Yep.
for the surveys
Yep.
also.
Yeah, but it'd be good to get, the people in charge down there to see what their commentary is. So I've got, Vavco, FlowServe, Curaleaf, Fire Department, the Police Chief, Bowling Alley, History Museum, Antrim, the Lions Club, the Chamber, the Council, and the Senior Center. Any other large representative groups? What about the HOAs at Meads Crossing and Meadowbrook?
I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a restaurant represented there too. I don't care who's,
So-
Tony's or what, anybody, somebody, should be a
Or-
restaurant.
The
Maybe-
HOAs we have Carol Vista, we have Meads, we have,
Ooh. Yeah, somebody, I don't know who's putting that note up, but thank you.
It's probably down. Yeah, we have caring and sharing, which is like kind of the
Yes.
the group of all the
Yeah,
churches
right, so
coordinating
caring and sharing,
for
so
community
as
things.
opposed to the churches, go to caring and sharing. It's a good idea.
You got a dozen there already.
Yep.
Yeah, over a dozen.
Yeah, this is like 12, 14 here, so.
We might want to scale back some of the specific businesses maybe and
We may,
focus on
and we may
the
not be able
biggest.
to get, you
Right.
put all three of those big businesses at the
Right.
top, because you may not be able to get them.
Right. But I would think, we
Might get
probably
one,
start
you may
with-
get one
right.
out of the three, which would be what you would hope to
Yeah.
get at least.
So, let's see, I was jotting down as you were, I guess I threw a couple that crossed my mind in as well. So Chamber of Commerce, Caring and Sharing, FlowServe, Evapco, possibly Curaleaf, Fire Company, Police Department. I'm thinking probably Public Works and maybe Economic Development here within the city. And somebody from the Heritage association or museum
Yep.
group, since they are kind of two separate things, or maybe one from each of those. The director at the senior center, and then maybe some of the key people from the homeowners associations around the city.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, certainly you could also reach out to council members, since they are the elected representatives of the people overall too in this, in the town.
And I put
But,
council on my list, which could be
But
multiple
that's,
people
but
or,
that's, but that's 6 more interviews also,
yes.
so.
These
But I
zone
wouldn't really
associations
want to
would be
pick and
looking to-
choose among council people.
I'm up to 17 with what we have.
Yeah, and I think that becomes, start getting bigger than that for the size of our, that's gonna start getting a little unwieldy for the data.
Yeah.
Greg, that,
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think you've gotten, you know, all the major topics covered there. But so 17, 15, 17, I think that's fine. If we can kind of keep it at that, I think that would be good. I mean, council will have their opportunity to provide input throughout the process anyway, so I don't know if we want to interview them individually. But I mean, I like the HOAs. That's a great, because that's typically going to be, you know, newer members of the community, so that's helpful, I think. So yeah, I think it's a good list.
Okay.
catch all those, Emily?
Most of them. Might need a full list from somebody, but
Okay, so does anybody have anything with any particular questions? Or do we got it narrowed down if we're gonna go through with what's here?
Mm.
We all agree upon it. Barry? You okay? Bradley? Dan? Don't think too hard.
I agree on the original list of questions.
Okay. Chris?
Good now, yeah. If
Bill,
we
you
go to
good
pick
with
the
what?
other ones.
We're good.
All right. So this is what we got for our second one then.
Great.
All right. Okay, who has, what's next?
So just so Emily, going back to the agenda, next is talking about how, when, where we're going to distribute these surveys. So we had talked about you know, getting information out on the website, on the app if possible, and then I guess the first event that we were talking about, Emily, is
Mhm.
up at the end of September, I think, right?
the 28th, the Harvest Festival.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the next big shot we'll have at a large group of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What was that again?
The Harvest Festival in September 28th.
September 28th.
I think the second Saturday in September, there'll be an opportunity at the fire company Pit Beef.
Okay. I like that.
And there's a couple hundred people that come through there.
Okay.
For 500 sandwiches worth. Come down, buy a sandwich.
So with regards to the survey in terms of distribution at these events, I mean, we're thinking that it might be most effective to just kind of hand out maybe little postcards with the link to the website rather than hand out hard copies of the surveys themselves. Because with that, when you hand out the hard copy of the survey, you have to rely on, number one, for them to fill it out, and then for them to actually return it. So, yeah.
Hard copies would be, you would almost want them to fill it out right there at the table. You'd
Right.
you'd have a handful of pens and a couple of
Mhm.
chairs and some space. Because if you don't get it back from them right there, you probably won't get it back.
Exactly. And our thoughts on having a tent set up at these events is more, maybe have like a little exercise to get some input on maybe some of the questions, but give them the survey, it's more of an educational thing, what the comp plan is, educating them as to what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then encouraging them to log on. Here's the postcard, please fill out the survey, rather than having a bunch of people kind of bent over a table trying to fill things out. That's not very interactive. So that's our thoughts in terms of
I mean, I think you would get a few responses, and even though you wouldn't want to encourage it, you still get some short arm scaly people like me, that would rather fill out the survey
the
right
hard
there.
copy. Yeah, and provide that opportunity, but I don't think that would be our primary
No,
method.
but I think that it's still
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
providing them the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree.
You drop
Okay.
off the surveys after you.
Well, then somebody would be manning the table anyway to answer questions, so they would take it right back then.
Yeah.
Table and a chair, sit down, fill it out.
Yeah.
They do that down at Pit Beef, I mean, as fast as we run them through there.
Well,
Yeah, but
they sit down and eat, don't they?
Sit down,
Yeah.
you can just walk
used
over
to
and
go.
sit down and take fill it out. I mean, we can
Yeah.
sell chances, we can do whatever you want there. We got the whole parking lot. They can come inside and sit down.
I think like,
Somebody wants to fill it out, they can sit down. I'll carry them a chair if they want to fill it out.
All right, I'll come down and give me a chair.
I'll give you a chair, buddy.
All right.
I'll be there with you.
I just don't want them using it as a napkin, we gotta,
So I have a question, Chairman. Craig,
Yeah.
how do you see, so let's discover a little bit about what we're putting the survey quote online. Is that
Right.
wise? I mean, if I'm really adamant about a certain subject and I sit there and all I do that weekend is fill out the same thing, that could give us a huge, I'm just worried about the integrity of,
The responses.
yeah.
Yeah. So with SurveyMonkey, and Dan can probably speak to this too. It limits it based on, you can only respond once based on your IP address. So there is some internal protections against people kind of gaming the system. Now, if they wanted to go and jump on a different computer and do it that way, if they were really, crafty and going to different sites and logging on from different locations, then sure, they could do that. But we've never really had any issues with that or any apparent gaming of the system with regards to that. But it's a good question. Is Dan on with us? Maybe he can provide a little more IT input on that. But if not,
I am here, Craig.
Okay.
What you're talking about is basically giving each survey result a unique identifier of an IP address, which is a good indicator of if the same person is creating the same survey answers or interview answers. So that metric has already been put in there, and SurveyMonkey can utilize that, and we can leverage that to make sure we do not get duplicate answers. But as you also said, that does not stop someone from going to another location and procuring another IP address. But that's a lot of steps, and usually someone is going to do this at home where they have time to sit down. So that's a lot of effort, and I really don't see that happening.
Okay, so Dan, how do we address, Billy and Sandy? They have one computer in the house. What do we do for those people?
Well, in that case, it's going to come from the same IP address. So maybe we encourage users to fill this out as a family.
Or do we allow 2 per address?
Can we encourage the use of, I don't know, we want to be collecting email addresses or how many people would actually fill those in, but encouraging the use of email addresses to get, if you get 6 email addresses from the same IP address, then that starts to look a little fishy. But, 2 wouldn't. You know, Chris at Georgia's on York and Sharon at Georgia's on York would seem to be two different people. 6 other names from Georgia's on York might start to look a little fishy. But I don't know. Dan, you would be the expert on those kinds of safeguards and what that kind of data collection. I'm not really up on that.
Usually you don't encourage someone to put any identifying information in these surveys.
Okay.
I think with Survey Monkey to do that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emily or Craig, they would need to set up an account in order to tie that back to a user.
Well, I just literally this like an hour ago, I filled out a survey for Preservation Maryland that was done through Survey Monkey, where they did ask me for my name and email address.
If you wanted to add that, I guess, you know.
So I'm throwing it out there just because I just came across it.
Yeah, I mean, that could certainly be a question. Like we could have that to be 2 questions. Like, for example, if you want to be informed of the progress of the plan, you know, please provide your email address and we'll keep you up to date with how the plan is progressing.
That's true. That's good, and it would help create a database of people.
Yeah.
That would be an optional thing. It wouldn't be a requirement.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
But back to the question of how many are going to be allowed on the one IP address, you know, or husband and wife, if they want to each do one.
So
I'm not a computer person, so
yeah. I mean, that's a good question. You know, we would normally, you know, encourage this to be like a household survey and not necessarily individual as far as that goes. So
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
If we're good with 1 per household, you know.
Yeah.
May want to note that then at the top of the survey.
Yeah.
With 1 per household. Or 1 per IP.
Right. Okay.
Move.
All right. So we will have some hard copies available at the setup, but we'll encourage the online option as well. So either provide either option there. And then we have the question on there on how long should the community survey be open to the public? Our thoughts are to keep it open for 6 to 8 weeks for that period of time. Yeah.
Do you think anything longer than 30 days is people are just going to drag out and not go through with it?
I mean, that's like I said, that's kind of a generous thing, and it all depends on how many events we're going to be at and what we're trying to, when we're going to be out there, and what the spacing of those things are. So if we're talking about the Harvest Festival, and I don't know about this at the pit. When's the pit beef? When is that?
Second Saturday.
Second Saturday in September. So we provide that opportunity. I'd say I'd like to leave it at least 6 weeks, because we are like during that same time period, that's when we're going to be really focusing on doing the heavy data collection and working on those parts. So we're not going to be doing a lot of the plan elements during that time period. So I think the more opportunity, the better, honestly.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 6 weeks starting from probably the 1st of September, I get right after Labor Day by the time we get things settled.
Yeah.
So what are the primary ways we're going to notify people? Or like, are we going to send it out with every water bill? Or, I mean, I got it, you can put it online, but I mean, there's a lot of people that pay a water bill that don't get online, right? So is that something that we're interested in?
So a lot of people do pay in our front office. A lot of people.
So do we just advertise it in front office, or?
And we could put copies right there by the.
So Craig and Emily, would we do the postcard thing that we could have in the lobby?
Mm-hmm.
Because it wouldn't be wise to have them try, because it takes a while to fill this out if you're
filling
filling it out for what it's for.
Right.
So we had the postcard scenario. If we can get those rolling pretty quick, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, okay.
And we could make, a bit of a larger size, 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17, that could be posted somewhere really visible where people are going to pay their water bill, so they can also see as they're approaching the desk. Just something a little bit larger and more eye-catching.
Okay.
And in just announcing it at all the council meetings and all the planning commission meetings, any public meeting that the city's having, publicize the fact that the surveys are available and to encourage participation there.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned that all those opportunities are people that are already interested in the town and stuff, and there's a lot of people that won't even know that we do this. And I don't have an answer, I just,
Well, that's why to do, Harvest Fest.
Exactly.
The Pit Beef, we could talk to the folks down at the liquor store about doing it on the Food Truck Tuesdays. That it's not a lot of people, but it's, it is a gathering of people and it happens every week. Bill, you look like you want to say something.
No, I'm thinking, because even, okay, go ahead,
I
Chris.
say you have, you had two of the Friday, or two of the fire company, second Saturday Pit Beefs. You'll have several, opportunities at the food, on the Food Truck Tuesdays. Harvest Fest is the only actual big event that's going to happen in that time. You'll have, of course, 2 council meetings where we can talk about it.
it would be okay.
In that 6-week period, so,
We can reach out to the HOA, those HOAs too, or that might be a good resource too. A lot of times they have a Facebook page or something, maybe where the link could be placed on there as well.
and if we're gonna create like a little postcard as a handout for people to take with them, we could distribute those all over town.
Mm-hmm.
Or scan, correct? Can't we do something like that?
Like a QR code.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That we'd have like down in City Hall, down in our lobby. So Jim, are we in alignment for a water bill between now and the 6 to 8 weeks? So when,
For the bulk of the
No,
payments.
We just
so
got
that'll be
one.
after,
We just sent late bills out, so, last week. So late bills went out last week, so we've already collected the bulk of the payments for the
Right.
quarter. So the next billing cycle's not gonna be, for another, well,
yeah, so it'd be July,
roughly.
so it'd be,
so,
yeah, that wouldn't be
From-
till October.
yeah.
Okay.
So, so our 6 weeks probably stretches into maybe mid-October, but not a,
so, but in any case, the scan scenario where that we can check with Rocky, maybe Kenny's will allow us to put it up, maybe Food Lion, some of your mom and pop stores.
So you expect, I mean, you like a poster that
Yeah,
yeah,
just,
like just a poster they could put on the,
big and
half
catches your eye.
page, a few sentences about what we're doing, like you were talking.
Mhm.
And then, the scan scenario.
Mhm.
Chairman Parker, could I interject some information really quick?
Certainly.
Go ahead.
If you could prolong this maybe a few weeks, I just want to add that October 26th, we have Tales of Taneytown and Trunk or Treat. And then obviously all of our officers are out on the 31st of October for Halloween, handing out glow sticks. So if you could just add a few weeks in there, potentially you could garner some more surveys.
Okay. We were originally talking about 8 weeks anyway, 6 to 8
Yep.
weeks.
Yeah, that would be
So
8
that would
weeks.
fit in.
Yeah.
That would fit.
Okay, that's fine.
That's a good idea, Dan.
Yep. Thanks for staying on board.
Not a problem. I think you would want to go maybe a week beyond the 31st, of course, for people to, you could hand them out and put them in Halloween bags and the family could go, maybe you could do a special one for that. I don't know. But we do touch and interact with a lot of citizens on that day. More than at events.
Okay.
Maybe you could tie them to a glow stick necklace. Just thinking.
Here, kids, here's a survey.
Well, on Halloween, there's a lot of people that come into town that are in the outskirts of town. They don't live in town, so that is a good chance to get those kind of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause I think it, I don't know about you guys, but I got a lot of friends that don't even have a computer, so We just want to, I'm not sure if we're going to miss those, their opinions.
Well, we'll also put their paper copies available at senior center, city hall, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good, because you're right, they're, yeah.
Poster down at the post office.
Yep, do the best we can. I got it. Yep.
Yeah,
Alright.
like, so, right, so the postcards and/or a poster at the supermarkets, bowling alley, the post office.
Yeah, half sheets, short and simple. You know, we don't have space for that, you know.
All right, let's move forward with this. Are we on
Okay.
to our draft?
Yeah, so, and we didn't really intend to really talk about this too much tonight, other than to, and Emily, you can jump in, put together the framework of the plan itself, and kind of some design elements, design ideas. Emily's done a lot of work on getting some photographs and you really, making this visually attractive to the reader, and really making it part of, a lot of local photos, and people can really tie into it, really key into that. This is the Taneytown's plan.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm always on the lookout for more local photos too. So if you have any resources for that, please send them my way so I can incorporate them. Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Craig.
No, I was going to say, this just helps us get the framework done and plug in the elements as we work through it.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through this really quickly. I'll be blowing past a couple pages really quickly, especially. But I do want to make a few notes before I really start going into it. First of all, of course, this is a really early draft. There's a lot of placeholder text in there, especially. I'm just a visual person. It helps me to understand what we're missing, what might be working or not working, to have a more filled out version of what the plan is going to be, even if it's just fake placeholder text. So you might see a lot of kind of fake Latin text in there, and that's what that is. Or also, I did send this to Daryl, so this whole document can be distributed to all of you after the meeting to look at your own pace. But again, we just want to look at the big picture of it right now.
It's really
Specifically,
standpoint, right? It is just really the visual aspect and how and what the layout's going to be,
and the format.
not so much content. Yeah.
But you all,
Correct.
most of you have it.
I mean, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it at 5:30 this afternoon, so.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
why we
and-
don't really want to get into it too much, other than just explain to you what it is. So when you do look at it, you say, what the heck is this Latin text in here? So that's what's in there.
That's what that is, yeah. Yeah. I do have a little note in here on page 4, just kind of explaining what some of that placeholder is. So before you read through it, you just want to take a look at that little explanation in there. So it'll give a little bit more of a preface for that. So I guess the first thing that you might notice too is that the structure of this plan is a lot different than the previous plan. Not that there was anything wrong with the previous plan, but I think that having a section like you'll see at the beginning here, basically what is a comprehensive plan, is going to be really helpful for people who have never even seen a comprehensive plan. They have no idea what it is. It's front and center. After you have your acknowledgements, your table of contents, it's right there. So you really just get a very simple, very clear explanation of what the plan is. And then moving into what it accomplishes, which again is very simple. It just explains why we have a plan, what the purpose of it is essentially. And what has been accomplished is going to be more focused on the previous plan and those goals and where we've come since that plan has been adopted, whether the goals are still relevant and we're still working on them, whether they don't align with Taneytown's views anymore, or, if, what have you, those goals are going to be listed here and explained a little bit. And then having a bit of a description about our whole process in developing this, including things like what are goals and policies and actions, because those are terms that people probably aren't fully understanding. This will explain things like the Maryland Land Use Code, the requirements for the plans from there, and the different categories of planning, as well as things like the fact that we did public participation and what we did, and the background information, et cetera. And then we'll have Maryland's 12 visions. The highlighted text here is going to be those 11 different planning categories that are required. And this is really to help people kind of tie together the idea of the 12 visions and the 11 planning categories, because it's something that I think can take people a little bit to wrap their head around, especially the fact that they are separate elements, but a lot of them share very similar names. And I think that that can be really confusing for people. So just trying to use, you know, whatever we have, color and graphics to make it really clear to people. And those are going to be, you know, like your natural ag resources and your water resources are supporting your environmental protection vision. So that's kind of how those things tie in.
And that's also important for the state, for the reviewers at the state, to make to you know, help make it easy for them to show that we've met all their requirements.
And then moving into Taneytown's vision, and a bit of a description, a very brief description at this beginning section of what Taneytown is. So a bit of its history, the geographic location, some demographic information, and all of this information is going to be, there's going to be much longer descriptions of it in later sections in the background information, but we think it is still really important to have that at the beginning, just as an overview for people to really understand what planning is and what we're planning for. And then goals and policies and actions are the next thing right after that whole introduction. We want it really close to the beginning of the plan because that's what people are really coming to look for. Again, you're having some information about what goals, policies, and actions are. And sometimes that text is basically repeated a couple times throughout the plan. The idea is if someone's skimming right through the introduction, they're not even looking at it, and then coming right to the goals, they still get that definition of what those are, and they're not kind of lost without having scrolled back to a previous page to read what those are. And these are the different categories, again, color-coded to match what was on the 12 visions page. And each category has its own section. So it'll have a bit of a description about what the category is and why we're planning for it, how it affects different stakeholders in Taneytown, and a little bit of key points, basically summarizing this text, just again, to make it easier for people who might be skimming, especially, to find the information they need. And each goal will also have a page for clarity purposes. It also really helps to draw attention to them. So it'll have the goal on the top of the page and then the policies and the actions that are supporting that goal. And I'll blow through this a little bit because it's the same thing just for all the different categories. It's all placeholder for now. And after that would be the implementation matrix. So who's responsible for what, priority levels of when those things are planned to be completed or worked on, and some ideas of how those things are going to be completed. For example, this was a table that was in the Chester County, Pennsylvania, their comprehensive plan. And I felt like it did a really good job of explaining that information. It's a lot of information and it can get really complicated, especially if you're not used to looking at this sort of information. So something similar to this plan, I think we could make it even clearer, but something similar to this table, I think would be really beneficial to include to get that information across. And then background study and analysis, that's going to be all of your supporting information. I am going to just blow right through that because it is very long. And if you're seeing green and red text, that's, again, just a note to ourselves really to come back that we need to come look at that and update that information. It will not be green and it will not be red in the final version. Additionally, you know, we have some tables and things that are placeholder until we get them updated, just because like they were pulled from the 2010 plan. The information needs to be updated, but the table itself is essentially what the information that we're going to be including in there. And then legislation and requirements, going into more detail about what the visions, goals, policies, actions are, talking a lot about the specific legislation and acts that have been passed that set different requirements for comprehensive plans and how it affects plans. This section, I think, might end up being a bit redundant. This was from the old plan as well, but I think a lot of this information does get carried into other sections of this plan. So it's something that we can look at later when we're doing more detailed stuff. But that's something that would be a review of how we're working on the current plan, how we're carrying it out. And then these would be all the land use requirements. So people can address those and see exactly what is required for those things. And then that's the end of the plan for now. I'll pull it back up to the table of contents. So we can look at the overall structure. Is that something that you feel works well in terms of what the plan should look like? Is it, do you think it flows well? Do you think it covers all of our bases?
So we just got this today.
Yeah, I'll reserve my comment.
So if, I'm sorry.
Right. I mean,
Sure, yeah.
So we could just, have a little bit of time to look at it.
Sure,
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
Yeah. That's, we just wanted to kind of go over in terms of our thoughts with the layout, bringing putting the goals, policies, and actions up front rather than have all the inventory stuff up front and then get into the goals and policies. If somebody wants to find out a little more detail in that, then they can go back to those inventory sections. But the true meat of the plan in terms of those visions, the planning elements, those are right up front. And you encounter those first. So so we'll just leave it at that, and then you guys will get a month to kind of go through things, look at it, but it's more of, again, just it helps us in terms of as we're going through the various updates with the placeholders, and lets us just from a layout standpoint helps us out organize the plan.
I'm definitely in favor of having that information up front, that the bottom line up front.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good. So that's all we really need, unless there's anything else specifically you want to talk about. That's really all we wanted to kind of get into that. So.
Okay, comments?
Yeah. So I was just hoping for some time at the end, so just wanted to say a few comments. I read through the meeting minutes here, and I thought it was kind of interesting that we said, well, traffic is the primary priority, right? But then as I was reading this, I was wondering if we would be concerned about the traffic if it was all coming downtown to visit businesses that were downtown. Would we still be complaining about the traffic or
I
not?
think
So,
through traffic might
yeah,
be the
so-
more apt description.
so
there.
anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there for my teammates to think about here. And then very, very similar on the other page we had on there, we put down parking is an issue. And I just wrote in there, is it really? So, I
And
mean,
that's,
so-
because that would caught my eye too. Thank you, Dan.
but
'Cause
anyway.
I've spent 6 years trying to beat down the myth that there was no place to park in Taneytown.
Yeah.
Because it is a myth.
So those are two comments I just wanted to share with my teammates here. And then I had a question for Jim Wheatford. So I read about a Maryland Complete Street Policy. So apparently there's guidelines and design techniques for streets or something. I haven't finished searching online. Is that something that you can point us to look at?
We can send something out by email. Off the top of my head, no. But the idea is that complete streets are for everyone, for pedestrians, bicyclists, all kinds of mobility, and also have, I guess, some environmental design aspects as well. So the term has been coined by a number of different groups, and I'm not sure it means the same thing to everybody. But we can send some information out to you, though.
So what
Yeah, it is a term of art, though. You're right, Jim. That's exactly it. It's looking at more than just automobiles.
So what I read was all high-level descriptions, just like the way we're talking right now. But what I was interested in, I guess I thought it implied that there were guidelines or design techniques. So I was kind of interested in looking at some specific examples of design techniques that they did to make it a complete street. But again, I haven't dove into it a whole lot. I think it was at Carroll County Times I read that. It was an article in the paper about that. But anyway, anything you have, I appreciate it.
We'll get something out to you.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Any
Nope.
comments?
Nope.
Okay, Paul, you have anything you want to add?
What you're here for?
I mean,
We're happy to have customers.
I know they'll be coming, but it'll
we have a
probably
time limit, it's 3 minutes.
about 3 questions. Real simple questions. But I know that my fellow residents and businesses will show up just about the time that you're trying to finalize this. Paul Cluth, both a resident and a business owner in Taneytown. My first question is for the consultant. Based on the total population of Taneytown, for which the plan is meant for, what is the minimum percentage of respondents that makes for a meaningful survey?
So if we get 25%, that would be good. So and that's statistically relevant then at that point. But that would be considered a good turnout. If we get more than 25, that would be tremendous.
What kind of a number would that represent with the current population? That's quite a large number.
What would that be? That would be
2,000 people.
7,000 people.
2,000.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So we might have our work cut out for us.
I'd be
Yeah.
ecstatic with half of that.
5% would be more realistic.
We can't get 800 people to come out to vote, much less.
I guess we need to look at that in terms of households, though, not population, so that
No,
number will be a
that's
lot
true.
lower.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's 3,400 of those,
So,
ish.
Yeah. So, we're certainly not going to, right, we're going to do everything we can to get as many people to participate as possible. And, the old way to do it would be they would mail surveys to every household in the municipality. But that doesn't all, that usually doesn't work. I mean, especially with today's mail, it's mostly junk mail anyway, and everything goes in the trash. So.
Another question, can the survey capture residents that are more or less outside of Taneytown within about a 7-mile radius? Now, the reason I ask this is trying to capture the opinions of individuals who travel to Taneytown regularly for either shopping. Now, granted, they do their big shopping in the 3 big cities around us, but for either groceries, gas, car repairs, auto parts, the library, post office. Is it wise to try to capture those opinions as well?
I thought we were going to the zip code. We're going out beyond the city limits. Isn't that what we agreed?
well, that's what I think if we are, putting this out there to people at these locations, supermarkets, bowling alley, post office, the library, that's going to catch people in that net.
7 miles, why particular 7 miles? I could see 3 to 5,
Well,
but why
I
7?
tend to agree with you, but I've seen a lot of people from, for example, Kemar is about 7 miles away. They may go to Walkersville or Frederick for some of their things, but they also come to town here. Keysville, Bruceville, Uniontown. Some people will come from even far away as New Windsor or Union Bridge, ironically, for certain things. So their opinions, I think, are very worthwhile because you might get a little bit of a different perspective, a wider perspective of maybe what they would like to see happen. It would be beneficial for all the residents of the town. I'm just throwing that out. The other question is, can respondents be categorized by stakeholder category? In other words, it would be nice to know respondents if they're from the agricultural community, from Carol Vista. That's one segment. You've got, you know, employees of the fire department, the police department, Main Street community, seniors. You can break seniors up into a couple different, like in town, and then obviously like a Carol Vista. I'm thinking if you're able to categorize them, you might get a general theme from those folks, and it doesn't become part of a mishmash of responses when you're trying to figure out, is there any logic to this? So I'm just throwing that out for what it's worth. But it might be helpful to have a more meaningful survey, you know, for such an important plan.
That last one's a good point, because it'd be nice to know the response. Are they from seniors? Are seniors looking for
Or don't,
home? You know,
So we have,
Well, that's
We-
in the survey.
we had in the survey.
that covers it?
Yeah.
We do have an age breakdown in the survey, and you know, it's categorized by resident or resident, non-resident, and business owner.
You're right, yeah. You're right.
So we have those categories.
but not as many categories as what Paul was mentioning.
Right.
We
Well, I
have
mean,
some.
and
then
Oh, yeah, I
we
don't
were
know.
gonna add the area, so we would get somewhere, some more of what you were talking about there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
looking
you know,
at maybe
obviously
for-
the,
Give us something to guide us, maybe if we're looking for like starter homes, or we're looking for more senior centers, or things like that. It was broke down.
well, you can also get to your different income levels related to housing.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously, affordable housing is important. It's important to the governor, but then we also want to see more affluent home buyers too, and you get a good mix. So, which all makes for a healthy community. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Anything else? I guess then are we looking at like September 24th, the next one? That's the Tuesday before our planning,
Right.
That'll never change,
so,
except for December. Maybe,
Yeah.
so if no one,
I do have a question.
okay.
Is there a way we can get some information from the schools? I understand that they're all maxed out now and they have no plans to expand them. Could we get some information from public schools? Because that's really.
It depends on who you talk to.
yeah,
Because the Carroll County Public Schools will tell you that we are not anywhere near capacity at the schools in Taneytown.
Right.
That's in the, what's that,
I know that.
adequate facilities, adequate facilities.
Monday
Still the
night,
ordinance.
Monday night, that gentleman will be here.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Yeah, that's just to add that addition, all right?
Well, he's the planner. If you're talking about Bill Kane, he's the planner, the Carroll County Board of Education planner, so he will know for the whole county.
Right. Well, I
So we
don't care
can-
about
we'll
them.
make-
I'm worried about Taneytown area.
Well, I'm sure he'll have, because they're talking about an addition for the Taneytown Elementary, so.
But that's for the little kids, that's all.
But that, I think, not that I looked at it a lot, but the adequate public facilities ordinance or whatever, that's a document that's out there available for us, I believe.
I think the county calls it concurrency management, but yeah, it's out there, yeah.
Yeah, so the addition is sort of like for future. They're doing, we got money, as you were, they got money, so it's our problem. So that 5,500 square feet, it's on the new prints you guys get.
Okay, they changed that to square feet?
So they have it on the key on the bottom left-hand side of the prints. But no, that code means something to them, not a clue what it is. But in the legend, it says how many square feet it is.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second by Mr. Brown. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Yeah, that's fine, that's not us.
Hey, Craig, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Emily. The comprehensive plan I looked at today, I just scanned